Okay. Let me move my mic over. We got to rearrange a little bit. Can you hear me now? Let's see. Oh, I got a new system and I was worried about one specific thing and I totally forgot about this part. Okay, hold on. Oh, I hope that's not loud. Okay. I think that'll work. Are we good here? Let me see if I can. Yes, sound check. Okay, cool. And hold on. Let me look at my properties. Okay, yeah, we should be good. Hi, Gina. Good morning. Thank you, Molly. I appreciate that. I told you guys last week that my camera that was holding this picture right here it broke. I had to I literally duct taped my phone to the arm. So I got a new one. So I was super worried about that. And then of course I forgot to plug in the mic. Sorry about that. Learning as we go. I need to make myself a checklist, literally, on pre-stream things to do. I have a few sticky notes of things to remember to do, but I should probably make that checklist. In fact, we are going to make a list that says make pre-stream checklist. It would probably be helpful for sure. Okay, yeah, improvise. I definitely had to do that. So, okay, let's hop right into this because I'm trying to keep our streams to 45 minutes, maybe an hour if there's questions, things like that. But I want to be precise if we can. So number 1 is no stream next Saturday. It is Mother's Day weekend. So no stream next Saturday. We will resume the week after that. After we do our planning session today, we are going to talk all about list making. I'm going to show you my system. I'm going to walk you through kind of my thought process on what I do and how I do it. And then I want to remind you, because I've gotten a couple of messages regarding transportation of your notepads, and I have it linked in I have to double check, but I think I have it linked. This padfolio is the one I use whenever I have to take my planners anywhere. Like if I'm going into the car, I'll throw my padfolios in here. Now, I got a message, and I don't know if Melissa is going to be on, but she actually shared with me that the backing of her notepad actually came off with her putting it into a padfolio. And I think we've come up with maybe a reason why that happened, because hers is a zipper. So if you're using something that you already have, which is awesome, just keep in mind that when you unzip something, you're opening it this way, which means that your notepad is kind of flopping around. That's why this is my padfolio. I actually put this in here like this because if I were to just stick it in like this, and if it's not sitting flat on my desk, like if I were to keep it in the padfolio flat on my desk, this is how I would have it. But then when I go to open it, see how it flops? I think that's why. And when you're opening it in that floppy way, I think that's what happens. So my suggestion is when you're opening, and if you have a zipper, just when you open it, just make sure you're opening it flat, like this part flat here, so that you're not opening it this way, and then your notepad is gonna flop around in there. I hope that makes sense. Now, regarding the other thing is to have, maybe there's too much room here to where your padfolio, I'm just kind of giving some suggestions. Your padfolio is here and there's too much play here. So it is, flopping around like that. I don't know. The word is flop today. I don't know why. Okay, so I hope that helps. Now, regarding the padfolios, I just want to say this is a really good, inexpensive interim situation for you. If the traveling, if you're not somebody who works from home, like if you need to take your planners or your notepads out and about, a padfolio is a great way to do that. Any folder would work too, if that helps you. Hi, Doug. Good to see you. Regarding the padfolio, we're in the works of getting things done. I personally use things for a couple of months before I will suggest them to you because I want to make sure that they work and that the quality is good and all of those things. But as I've always promised throughout this whole process, I'm going to take you guys along with me, share things, and getting your feedback, your insight, like Melissa telling me about her, the backing coming off of her pad because it was just jostled around too much in her padfolio. That helps, right? Because then I can kind of maybe point that out to you guys, to anyone else who's using it, and kind of maybe get in front of it so that that doesn't happen to you too. So hopefully that helps, but I'm excited for you. I'm hoping by the next time we stream, which will be not next weekend, the week after, I'll have examples of kind of what I'm thinking and where I'm going with it. I'm very excited about it, but it's been a process. So that was another thing. And then the last change is, and this is to the members who get the monthly newsletter. It used to be that it would be the first, there's only been one because we're very brand new here, but it was the first Monday or the last Monday of each month. Now it's going to be the last Saturday of each month. So in that morning, on the Saturday morning, I think is what I'm thinking. That is when the newsletter is going to come out. So we can actually talk about it here if you have questions on it. So that's to the members. So hi, Christopher. Good to see you in here. I just have to point out that it feels so good to kind of get my bearings on like where the chat box is and kind of figuring out how things are working. And it's just, I appreciate you being here for sure. Because I know, again, even like with the sound situation earlier, we're working through the kinks, but we're getting it down. We're getting it. Okay. Now, I have already started kind of my planner here. Let me move this down just a little bit. See if this helps. Like that. I've already got the times written out here. I've already got the dates written up here. Rob and I will be out on these 2 days here. So that means that I knew ahead of time kind of some of the things that we were doing. I wanted to get it in here because a few days ago, as I was thinking about my schedule and what's working and what's not working, I decided I wanted to just kind of start pre-planning the next week. So this is my schedule for this past week. And I got to tell you, it felt really good. And I was able to pretty much stay on track. Now, Thursday, I tweaked up Thursday completely. It actually ended up being a day that I dealt with different companies regarding padfolios and things like that. So that day ended up kind of being a wash in that afternoon. So, but having gone through this week and this schedule and this routine, it felt really good. And I gave myself a little bit of wiggle room so that when things come up like that, I'm okay with things taking a little bit longer. And on Friday, I had kept that, if you remember from last week, I kept this open because it was Rob's birthday. I wasn't quite sure what we were going to do, if he wanted to go to lunch or I wanted to be available for that. And what ended up happening was I ended up having to run a bunch of errands trying to find certain things for a cake that I make him. And I couldn't find it. And it ended up taking a little over an hour, an extra hour, to find the chocolate that I needed. So I was really happy that I ended up with that white space. So whenever you can throughout your day, give yourself a little bit of buffer room. That actually definitely helps, because I was a lot less stressed about my time management yesterday, just because I knew I had allotted some extra time for things that I didn't know was going to happen. So a little bit of buffer white space is always a good idea if you can swing it. But as I am kind of feeling my way around, I am tweaking up my weeks so that I am slowly but surely finding my rhythm. And it has taken several weeks. You guys have watched the process. It has taken several weeks for me to be like, okay, this feels good. This morning process feels good. So I'm taking bits and pieces of what has worked and I'm implementing them into the next week. So as you do this, it's going to get easier the more you really prioritize what's most important in your day and then making time for it. So it's a process. The other thing last week, and I wrote it down because I could not find my note where I had written it before, but it was about discipline. And remember, I couldn't pull it out of my head. Like I couldn't find what that the quote was. It is, most people won't be disciplined enough to stay disciplined long enough to become a disciplined human. I'll read it again. Most people won't be disciplined enough to stay disciplined long enough to become a disciplined human. So discipline is hard work. It's hard to become a disciplined person. It's something that I work on every day. Like I'm still trying to create that habit and showing up to do the things that I don't maybe really like to do, but know needs to get done. Discipline is doing those things even when you don't want to. So you have the pain of discipline and the sacrifice of it, or you're going to have the pain of being regretful, right? Like, oh, I didn't get that done. I should have got that done. I should have done this instead of this. That is kind of the essence of being disciplined, is doing the things you don't want to do to move you forward. Even though you know you need to do them, you're not motivated, you're not inspired, you got to do them anyways. So that is what discipline is. And I heard this quote. I heard it on an interview on somebody else's podcast, and I can't even remember who it was. But Balin Coolian had heard it from somebody else, and he said that quote, and it just absolutely resonated and stuck with me. And I'm like, yeah, that is the whole key to it, is you've got to become a disciplined person to reach the goals that you want to reach, because there will always be something in what you're doing or what you're creating that you might not like to do. There'll always be something you want to do more. But you got to be disciplined enough to do the hard things. So, okay. So those were the things I wanted to talk about right off the beginning. And what we'll do now is we're going to take, I think we'll go 10 minutes. And then we're going to talk about list making and how I do it and how I prioritize. I've used this strategy for as long as I can remember, and it's always worked for me. So we'll talk about that here. It is 10:16, or it's 11:16. So let's go 10 minutes. All right. I don't know. No, you can't really see that. Okay. Okay, let's turn on a little bit of music. I also know that I said last week I would change this music, but I did not. I did not prioritize it in my day. Okay, let's go. Oh, I'm gonna put my readers on. Going into my calendar, gonna see what we've got going on. Okay.
Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know if I figure out where the road.
And I'm just using my list from last week to kind of get an idea of what I want to keep.
Keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind. I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down. The sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down.
Oh, no. We're changing something.
The sky is falling down.
Ooh, can't do it that day.
You said that you needed me, like a cargo, you would carry me. I just hope you know my day.
Remember to always put your priority things in first, and then you can kind of create around that.
Too much of emotion, sometimes on the line. Don't wanna pick a fight when everything seems so good. I guess I can't help myself. Would you call me in the dark? I'm calling up 'cause I'm right under the stars.
Okay, workouts are accounted for. Good, good.
Baby, you're the one who's breaking hearts, one who's breaking it. I said that I needed you,
This is going to be ugly, I think. We might have to redo this at some point. Because now I'm realizing I needed to add. So I have to finish edit there. And I got to work on the blog website. Here. Okay. Okay. Hi, honey. I see you. Thanks for hopping on. Ooh, you do have a purple hibiscus. Look at that. Month number 2. Okay, I love that. When I had to put white out on things, my OCD will make me redo it. Yeah, Kristen, and I probably will too. If I'm to be honest, I probably will. Well, no. I've gotten used to just letting it go. It depends on how bad it is. This isn't that bad. This is deal withable. Okay. Stop talking to me. Okay. Okay. Back to it. Okay. So downloadables. Get those downloadables on. I think that's gonna take. And then we go edit. Okay, I'm actually going to stop there for now. We have 1:40. About a minute. All right, I'm almost done. I just need to do my goals and then finish up the goals for the week here. Okay. I needed that extra 5 minutes. I just need another minute. About log up. Okay. Coin show here. Okay, I think I'm good. Are you guys good? Hi, Melissa. Hi, John. I had to share that I love the time flexible on the planet. I do the morning activities in 30-minute increments, everything else an hour. Yes. Oh, yay. I'm so happy that works for you. Love that. Okay. All right. Music off. Let's talk about this for just a minute because, again, it's a process that will take time to perfect, but it's never going to be perfected. You're always going to tweak your schedule. You're always going to tweak your calendar. Things are going to happen. So definitely leave that white space. Be flexible with it. But then you also, on the other hand, you know when you need to be uber focused. If you know you've got a week coming up, mentally prepare yourself for the week that's coming up and just know you don't have a lot of time for fluff. You don't have a lot of time for adding in anything extra. When you plan like this, you get to go into the week knowing what you have coming up. And that's always really important. Hi, Judy. I'm so glad you caught the live stream too. Yay. Okay. Hi, Jeff Silversmith. Hi, Mustang Dave. Good to see you guys here. Okay. So I am scheduled up for the week. Feels really good to me, I think. And again, we'll kind of feel how this feels. And right now, and depending on where you're at in your life, in your business, in whatever it is you've got going on, your schedule is going to change. Same thing with your actions here with that scorecard. Depends on what habits you're trying to create. It depends on what your priorities every single day are going to be, because this is very different than what your to-do list is every single day. This list right here is more like a habit tracker. Like this is what is going to happen. Hold on. I can't with wires. If you guys saw my wire setup right here, it's a mess. We're going to have to figure this out. Sorry. Hold on. Squirrel, I know, but some things bug me a lot. Wires bugs me a lot. Okay, so where was I? Oh, this right here. So this is more like a habit tracker. These are the things that you want to become kind of routine for you. And that's what you can use all of this here for. For me, I am very focused on my business right now. Very focused on showing up every day for my business. So most of what I have here, I've got a couple of personal things with the workouts, the walking Kai, things like that, drinking all the water, eating clean, because we're in that stage of the game right now. But a lot of this right here is focused on business building and doing things like that. Hi, Michael Smith. Hi, 949. So what we're going to do now, and if you can, when you come through this section, you just got to think about the things that you're wanting to figure out how to make routine so that it isn't something you really have to think about. Also know that not all of these need to be filled out. Embrace the white space. I happen to have them all filled out, but you absolutely do not have to fill out every single one of these squares. Just work with it, right? Figure out what you're doing throughout your days and what makes the most sense. The Whipraw blog. Okay. Same thing for your yearly goals, your monthly goals, your weekly goals. The reason this part is so important is because it should stay front and center. Your goals absolutely should stay front and center. So always write them. They can be rewritten from the week before. You're just ingraining it into your brain if they're exactly the same, or tweak them up as you go. And don't be discouraged if, for whatever reason, you didn't get done last month what you wanted to get done. Especially if you're creating and growing something from scratch. Things take time. Things are going to come up. All of that. So that's definitely something that give yourself a little bit of grace for that. So let's jump into list planning. So something that as you kind of go along, depending again on what it is that's going on in your life, in your world, if you will, your list of to-dos is going to be very different. I am in the chapter of business building, so that is where almost all my focus is going. But it also means that as you're doing new things, maybe you don't have a strategy yet, right? Maybe you don't have a system for what needs to get done. Like, for example, I am still deciding, and I will decide here over these next couple of days how I want to move forward with it. But right now, I'm feeling very spread thin with my social media. So I need to decide what social medias do I really need to focus on, because right now I have 3. And when I started writing the list, and this is a rewritten list, if you look from the weeks past, you can see that these are very much working lists, but I crossed out a bunch of things. I have also updated and consolidated. So when I started going through, because I decided I wanted to make a social media calendar, and just going through it started to make me very anxious, because I was realizing that so much work was going on things that, number one, weren't going to move my business forward, weren't doing anything for anybody in the focus where I'm at now, which is the planner community. I wasn't spending enough time building that. I was on my Charlani every day, which definitely helps both. But that shouldn't be my focus. My home decor. And even though I wasn't necessarily posting on those, I haven't made the decision to just focus on my planner profile in Instagram. I have not made that decision yet, because the other things bring me joy. Like, it makes me feel a little bit connected. And it's almost like deciding to let something go feels a little bit like a loss. So I need to weigh, does the work involved in keeping those afloat, does that outweigh the happiness it brings me then to just focus on the planner community side of things, which is kind of the way I am feeling like my brain is telling me to go, but my heart is saying, but we still kind of like it over here too, right? So those are all things. And again, it's not just the work of having to keep 3 profiles afloat, but it's the strength, the stress and anxiousness. Is that right? Yeah. The stress and anxiousness of having more to-dos, more things on my plate. And if we can take some of those things off. So if you've got something that you're like, I need to focus more energy here, but I'm spread through 5 different things when I should be focused on maybe just 1 or 2, you have to make the decision if you should let those things go and Well, the benefits of that outweigh the benefits of just being done with it and just kind of letting them simmer, if you will, until you're ready and have time to focus back on them. And that's kind of where I'm at now, is just trying to figure out how to prioritize the things that I really like to do. Like, they are priorities for me. Certain things are priorities for me, but right now that can't be where my focus is, because it's making me only 40% in one area when I could be 90% if I let a few other things go. So those are decisions that you have to try and come up with, and, take time to kind of analyze all of that. It's okay, again, it's okay not to fill up all your lines. That was something that I had struggled with here too, is you don't, just because there are 5 boxes does not mean you have to have 5 things. You don't. You have to prioritize the things that are most important. And you maybe could have 1 or 2 things here that's going to take you all day. That's got to be good enough. You have to know that that's good enough. So don't always feel like you need to fill in all the lines. I talk about white space all the time. White space is good. You need to keep white space available in your planners, in your calendars, in your to-do lists, because it just helps you to stay more focused and know that you have a little bit of playroom there. So even today I was struggling with, should I just fill that in? No, don't fill it in if it's not a priority for the day. So that's what I've done. And just also remember that it's always, always okay to slow down, to speed up. And that's kind of where I'm at with determining the social profiles that I have and what platforms you want to be on and how you want to show up for those platforms, because I know some of you are building businesses of your own, and you know that sometimes when you have a blank slate of a calendar and you see all this white space time, number one, you'll either want to plug in every single spot so that you don't have white space. You want it to look pretty, so you want to fill in every single blank, or you are overwhelmed with having to fill it up and having to add things in. And sometimes when you're busier, when you can sit down with your planner and you're like, okay, this, no matter what, this goes here, 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 and here, then you kind of have like a template to work with, and you'll know where you can add things in. But when you have a blank slate, sometimes that absolutely can be overwhelming, because you're like, where do I start? So always start with plugging in the things that you know you need to do, and then you need to go back through and figure out what your priorities are. And that's where this list comes into play. This is what you can call a master list. So how do I know what to do? How do I know what to prioritize? It's because I've sat down and I brain dumped and I brainstormed all the things that I have to do. So I have one master list, and I know, because I've heard this before, but it's a mindset. Just follow me through. You'll look at your list and you're like, that's so much. And you get anxious and you start to stress, because you know that there is no way humanly possible to do this list, to check everything off, to get it all done, while also adding to it, because it's a running list. So the way that I look at it is, you've got to get out of the mindset of, I have to do it all. You got to get out of the mindset of everything, single thing needs to be checked off. Get out of that mindset and get into the mindset of, what's my next best thing? What is my next priority? What is it that I should do next? Sometimes it's not what I want to do. It's what should I do? What do I need to do next? That's how you create what your priorities are. But when you have a big, long list It's a running list, a continuous list, if you will. This is what I prioritize my daily to-dos from. This is what I know I want to get done eventually. In a perfect world, you'd have enough time to get your to-do list done, but especially if you're business building or creating something brand new, your list is going to be all over the place and you're going to have lots of different things. So I don't want to rewrite this over and over again. That is a waste of time if you're rewriting something over and over again. But what's good about keeping a running list like this is that you're definitely going to be able to glance at this. When you write it down in your own handwriting, which is why I am such a proponent for writing things down, pen to paper, because it kind of gets ingrained in your head just a little bit more. But when you are writing things down in here and you're going through and you're looking at and you're placing things here, you're basically doing your brain dump. You're writing it on to whatever spaces and columns make sense for you. So let's say you're a sticky note person. You can have sticky notes everywhere. I'll have sticky notes everywhere, but it's within one area, one place, one space. If I get to a point where I have so many sticky notes all over the place, it almost becomes like white noise. You know, you put something that's been there for so long that you don't even see it anymore. I feel like that's how sticky notes can be. So even if you love sticky notes and you love writing on them, and it's a good way for you to jot quick notes down without having to write it on something major, then just create a notebook and just stick your notes on one thing. Stick your notes on one page so that they are all in one spot. This has been a game changer for me with keeping my notes. It was always a game changer for me to keep my notes on one page, one area, maybe 2 pages, depending on what you're working on. But I write everything here. Now, when it comes time to, like when I came down here and I've got a bunch of stuff crossed off, it was like, okay, now it's time to consolidate, move things over, create a fresh list now. The way that I do it is I literally just start writing things down. I kind of have blocks, but for the most part, this is very random. For my brain, that works because when you read this, you're like, oh my gosh, that stuff is everywhere. Like that stuff looks like it's all over the place. But the truth is, I know where everything is because I wrote this down. And I want to empower you to do the same thing. When you're writing your stuff down, you'll know what blocks you've created. You'll know that your learning stuff is here. You know, your B-School learning stuff is here. You'll know that this has a lot of website stuff here. You know that this is the second business. You'll know that these are video list brain dumps. And then throughout your week, throughout your days, you'll think of something and possibly, hopefully, instead of jotting it down on a sticky note, you'll actually write it on this paper. So you don't forget anything because it's in one place, one area. Now, if you look at this and you're like, whoa, that is so unorganized. That doesn't work for my brain. I need columns. I want little check boxes. Then that's fine too. Make columns so that you can further organize your list. So what I could have done is made maybe 4 lists. And this would have been all the things I need to do for the website, all the things I need to do for social media, and maybe other, right? Just other things. You also can have a section of like a someday section, which is probably something that I should have because some of this stuff are things I want to do someday. right now we're focusing on website and getting that up and running and making that a kick-ass place for people to go for resource. That is my goal with the website. So that is my priority now, and figuring out the technical side of everything, which is always the hardest for me, but that's where I'm at. But there are things on this list that are what we call someday things. Sorry if that was loud. So those someday things should absolutely go on this list. And again, when I look at this, I get excited because I'm like, oh, there's so many things that are coming up. Like, there's so many things that we get to do. And that makes me super excited for sure. So hold on, let me make sure. Okay, I think we're good. I had a message. Okay, we're good. We're going to keep going. Okay, so here's the deal. And if you're like, just tell me how. Tell me what to do. I truly, in my heart of hearts, I want to empower you to figure out your own schedule, your own way of doing things that makes sense for your brain. I truly, for years, I have tried to create systems that work for everybody, that work for any schedule, no matter who you are or what you're doing or what you've got going on or what business you're in, because ultimately, every single person has 24 hours in a day. Every single person has something to do every single day. If you don't, then put something on there that makes you feel like you have purpose. Because if you find purpose, then you're going to have things to do every single day. So those are things that, for me, doing this has absolutely been critical, like crucial in how I plan. It also is taking things out of my brain when I think of something and I'm like, ooh, that's a good idea. Or I see something somewhere that inspires me to create something similar or implement whatever that person is doing or whatever that tool or resource I've read, how that helps me. I then can jot a quick note down. It doesn't have to be this big long thing. It could just be a quick note to remind myself when I come back to it later that this is something that I wanted to do. So again, brain dumping, that is a huge part of my life. I probably redo this once every couple weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. Depending when I'm working on things like this last week, I think I might have really done possibly 4 things off this list right here, because what I had to do was time consuming and a lot of learning work. It was a lot of computer work this last week and trying to figure out website stuff. So those are just things that you'll determine as you start writing your things down. You don't have to have a page full of stuff. You might have 2 pages full of stuff. You might have a half page worth of stuff. Maybe you want to write really small. Maybe you want to write really big. But I'm just saying, I want to show you what I do, how I do it. I want you to take bits and pieces of it. But in general, I want you to take that general concept and apply it to how it can work for you in your life and how you can then tweak it up to make it work for you. Because obviously, my schedule is not going to be your schedule because it's based on where you're at in your life and what you have going on. But when you're consistent in knowing, I have a thought, I'm writing it on the list. I have an idea, I'm writing it on the list. Again, habit. Discipline. That's what it's all about. It's all about, creating that way to be organized within your life so that discipline is a little bit easier. Because again, it's not always easy. So what I do is, in the days when I'm sitting down in the mornings and I write out my to-do list of what I want to get done, I can scan this. And what's really cool too is I can scan this And I don't have to read it verbatim because I know what this says because I wrote it. If you had to look and go through and pick something from my to-do list for you to do, you would have to read every single word on this page. But when it's your list, a list you've created in a way that makes sense for you, whether or not that's columns, maybe it's just blocks of sections, maybe it's a whole bunch of to-do notes on your pad of paper, but just keep it all in one spot. You have one life. Just like I believe you should have one planner. You have one life, one planner for everything because you are everything. You're not just business. You're not just personal. It's all combined because you have to combine your life that way. So I hope that this has helped. I hope showing you how I make my list and how I kind of keep it running rather than having to rewrite it every single week. I only rewrite it when I need to. But this is how I do it. And I have been doing this for as long as I can remember because it helps. It works for me. And hopefully me sharing it with you will work for you too. All right. You guys have any questions? Our chat hasn't moved. I'm hoping that you guys were so enthralled with the content, what we're talking about, that you guys are like, okay. You are listening. Okay, good. Okay, good. Happy Saturday. Remember, we will not stream next week, but we will be back the following week. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll have my idea for padfolio coming. All right, guys. Again, happy Wednesday. Oh, happy Saturday. Trying to bring us through. Either I'm making time back or I'm heading into the next week already. Oh, thanks, Molly. Okay, have a great week. Thank you again. Thanks, mods, for your help too. Thank you, everybody, for hopping on. I appreciate it very, very much. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Well, I'll see you in the videos, obviously. Definitely going to implement. I think I've just made a decision. Focus is going to be in the Instagram account, on the social. It just needs to be the planning. Live happy label _ planners. That is going to be where I'm at almost all the time. I think I've made that decision. We'll see. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.